everyone, it's Heather here at Creative Faith Art Studio. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to just walk through a little cover that I made for my traveler's notebook that I finished from last year. I know I actually made the cover already using a granola bar box, but I thought it was such kind of a fun little project that maybe you guys would like to see how I did it. So I'm going to use a Crunch Berries cereal box to make this other little cover. So all I did was cut down the edge of the cereal box, and I'm trimming off some of the flaps. And then I use my journal to just roughly mark out the size I'd like the cover to be, and with a pen, and then I trim that down with my scissors. Do the same thing on the other side. I lay the cereal box flat one more time, and I push the journal over to the other side of what will be the spine, and then just kind of roughly mark that out with my pen and trim it down again. Since everything is trimmed down, and I just double check to make sure that it fits around my journal the way I like it to, and then I just use a little pile of scraps that I've used in several different projects, and I just make a little collage on the glossy side of the what will be the journal cover. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. I have some bits of book pages that I have. I have some scrapbook paper. I have some edges of old storybooks from the 1940s. And I just kind of put everything down and glue it down to cover up the Captain Crunch cereal box. I do kind of like to keep things a little balanced. I try to do, when I pick a pattern, I try to put it on both the front and the back of the cover a total of 3 times. I don't do that with all of the scraps, but I just think that it turns out to make the page a little more balanced. So I don't know if you can kind of see that in this quick little video, but that's actually what I've done. Some things I use a little more, but most of the time it's just 3 pieces of each scrap. Once the whole Captain Crunch box is covered, I just flip over the cover, and I trim off all the little pieces that are hanging over the edge. And I bend the cover a little bit just to make sure that all of the pieces of paper are sticking well, where they'll kind of hinge on the corners. And then I lay the cover flat again and flip it over, and this time I cover the inside of the cover. So for this, I'm just using a piece of packaging. I really like the pattern that's on this paper, and I've used it in several other things. I put it on a page in my journal. I used it on the cover of another journal that I have. And so I just take my tacky glue, and then I go over the whole inside of the cover, and I put that piece of packaging down to cover up the cardboard. And once again, I flip it over and I trim off the excess from the edges to make sure all of the edges are nice and neat. Now this is kind of a little fun part. I usually use gesso to do this, but this time I decided to use just some white craft paint to see how that worked and what difference it made. And I just do a little whitewash on some of the edges just to give it a little softer look. And then I take some varnish and I cover the whole thing with varnish. Now I normally wouldn't use as much varnish as you see me put on there this time, but I spilt it all over the place, so that's what I did. I spread a thin layer over the top and then I set that aside to dry. And here is the cover that I actually made for my journal. So I went around the edges with the sewing machine, as I will do with the one that I made in this little tutorial. And I then just get my, oh my god, my crocodile. I was going to say my eyelet chomper, but that's not what it is. I punch a little hole in the spine and it is not centered. I'm not very good at that. But, and then this little eyelet pops out of my fingers, so I grab a different one and put that into the eyelet hole, and then I can add a charm if I'd like to. And the rest is just putting I just do one little strip of wax linen thread in the middle to hold the journal in place, and that's kind of it. I find the center of the journal and I use the holes from the signature to mark the spot in the book that, or in the cover that I'd like the signature to sit. And it turned out this was really easy to do with, I was a little worried that it was going to be really tedious and test my patience, but it didn't at all. I just used those holes that were already there to kind of stitch it onto the cover. So really just one, 2 holes, put the linen thread through, and then tied it together. There was no, it wasn't really it probably will fall apart in all honesty, but it's just for me and it's going to sit on a shelf, so I wasn't really that concerned about it. I just wanted to get something covering the pages of my journal. So I tie that off and that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a little something. And if you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch today. I always love to hear your comments or any ideas you have on anything else you'd like to see. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.